board members were already seated. 12 people, 12 of the most powerful people in Nathan Cole's company, around a table that cost $90,000, in a room that had been booked for 6 weeks, for a meeting that would determine the future of a $460 million acquisition. His assistant had been standing outside his office door for 11 minutes. The meeting was supposed to start at 9 a.m. It was 9:13. Nathan Cole had never, not once in 14 years of running companies, been late to a board meeting. No, when his father died. No, when he had a fever of 103 and ran the meeting in a jacket so no one would see him shaking. No, once, no, ever. His assistant knocked again. "Mr. Cole." "They're waiting." "Nothing." She opened the door. He was sitting at his desk, suit on, ready, tie straight. But he was not looking at the acquisition documents. He was not reviewing the numbers. He was not doing anything that made any sense at all for a man who had $47 billion riding on the next 2 hours. He was reading a text message from a number with no name attached to it, and he was smiling. No, his meeting smile, no, the controlled, strategic, calculated expression that his board knew and his competitors feared. Something else, something that his assistant, who had worked for Nathan Cole for 6 years and believed she had seen every version of him, had never seen before. Something that looked quietly and impossibly like a man being surprised by his own feelings. "Mr. Cole." He looked up, blinked, like someone coming back from somewhere far away. "Tell them 10 minutes. So the agenda, 10 minutes, Sarah." She closed the door. Nathan looked back at his phone, at the message from the unknown number. "Read it one more time." Then he did something that would confuse every person who witnessed it for the rest of that week. He replied to an unknown number. Instead of walking into a $460 million meeting, he sat at his desk and typed a reply to a text from a woman who had no idea who she had just sent it to. And when he finally walked into that boardroom 14 minutes late, something was different about him. His executives would talk about it afterward. His co-o would mention it to his wife over dinner that evening. His head of legal would bring it up 3 weeks later as the moment she realized something had changed. He seemed lighter, like a man who had, in the space of a text message, remembered something important about being alive. Nobody in that room knew what it was, but we do. And we are going to tell you exactly how a wrong number text brought the most unreachable man in New York City to his knees. Before we go 1 second further, where are you watching from right now? Seriously, drop your city in the comments. We read every single one, and if this is your first time here, please subscribe right now. We make stories that we pour our entire hearts into, and your subscription is the only reason we can keep making them. Hit subscribe and the bell. We do not want you to miss what happens next, because trust me, it gets so much better than this. 3 weeks before that board meeting, a Tuesday, 9:47 p.m., Maya Ellison is on her bathroom floor. No, because anything catastrophic happens. No emergency, no crisis, just the specific, grinding, invisible weight of a day that took everything she had and handed her back nothing. She still has her work shoes on. Her blazer is on the floor next to her because she got halfway through taking it off and ran out of energy. She has not eaten a real meal since the half a sandwich she had at her desk at 1 p.m. She is 27 years old. She has a master's degree. She is, by any reasonable measure, succeeding. Good job, good apartment, small but hers. Good friend in the next room who she has known since they were both 19 and terrible at doing laundry. But tonight she is on the bathroom floor, because sometimes the only place that makes sense is the bathroom floor. Tody, her boss, made her redo a report. No, because the data was wrong. No, because the argument was weak. No, because there was a structural problem that needed addressing. Because of the font, Maya picks up her phone, opens her messages, finds Jess, her roommate, her person, the woman who has talked her off this particular ledge more times than either of them can count. Starts typing. She doesn't notice that she has scrolled one name too far. She doesn't notice that the number she is sending this to is not saved as Jess. She hits send. The message travels across the city, past 26 million lights and 4.5 million people and 42 floors straight up, and lands on the phone of Nathan Cole. CAO founder Forbes cover. The man whose font broke her. Jess, I cannot do this anymore. Today he called me into his office again. Stood there in that stupid expensive suit, looking at me like I was wasting his time. Made me redo the entire quarterly report because, and I quote, the font didn't feel right. The font, Jess, I have been awake since 4 a.m. for a font. I don't know who this man thinks he is, but he is single-handedly destroying my will to live and my love for PowerPoint. Nathan Cole is at his desk when it arrives. He reads it once. The corners of his mouth move in a way that he is not fully in control of. He knows who this is. He knows immediately. Maya Ellison. 3rd floor. The one who turned in the Henderson proposal this afternoon that he read twice because it was that good. The one who is always the last light on when he walks through 31 on his way to the elevator. He knows the number doesn't match any saved contact, which means she sent this to the wrong person. He knows the right thing, the clean, professional, simple thing, is to type 2 words. Wrong number, he types them, stares at them. Something happens in the space between writing and sending, something small but significant. He reads her message again, the 4 a.m., the font, the bathroom floor energy coming off every single word, the way she writes like she's talking to someone who knows her, without armor, without performance. Just a person telling another person about a terrible Tuesday, like it matters, like it is worth saying, like it deserves to be heard. He deleted wrong number. Typed instead, the font comment is sending me. What font was it? He sent it before he could change his mind. Maya's phone buzzes. She frowns. Jess has never responded this fast. She picks it up and reads the message without questioning it. She is too tired to question anything. Ariel, he wanted Helvetica Jess. They look almost identical. I have been in this industry 4 years. Nathan Cole, billionaire, board chairman, the man who runs a company that employs 4,000 people, sits back in his chair and feels something loosen in his chest that he has not felt loosen in a very long time. He keeps going. Okay, Ariel versus Helvetica is genuinely a crime worth complaining about. What else did he do? And Maya, exhausted and shoeless and fully believing she is texting her roommate, launches into the full story. He reads every word. He does not stop smiling. Here is what nobody understood about Nathan Cole. He had not always been unreachable. He had not always been the man in the expensive suit who walked through offices like he was passing through furniture. There had been a version of him before the first company, before the money, before Forbes, who laughed easily and asked too many questions and stayed too late at parties, because he was genuinely interested in what people had to say. That version had been scraped away slowly. No, by one thing, by everything accumulating. By learning that people perform differently when they know what you are worth. By realizing that every conversation in a boardroom has an agenda underneath the conversation. By watching friendships quietly reshape themselves into networking. By dating women who were wonderful and interesting and also somewhere underneath the interest, very aware of what being with Nathan Cole could mean for their lives. He had not turned cold. He wanted to be clear about that. To himself in the quiet moments, he had just turned careful. Careful became controlled. Controlled became distant. Distant, after enough years, started to look from the outside, like someone who believed other people were furniture. He did not believe that. He had just forgotten, somewhere along the way, how to let them be more. The text messages from Maya Ellison arriving on his phone every evening from a wrong number she never corrected did something to that. Something quiet and steady and impossible to stop once it started, because she didn't know who he was. That sounds simple. It was everything. She was not performing for him. She was not managing his impression of her. She was not thinking about what he could do for her or what she needed to be careful about saying. She was just talking to who she thought was her best friend. With the specific freedom of someone who believes they are completely safe, and into that safe space she poured the most honest version of herself that Nathan Cole had ever encountered in another human being. He became addicted to it. By Thursday of that first week she had texted 3 more times about the coffee machine that had been broken for 2 weeks on her floor, about the flickering lamp in the break room, about a conversation she had with a colleague that made her feel invisible in the small particular way that has nothing to do with anything dramatic and everything to do with not being seen. Nathan fixed the coffee machine the next morning. He called facilities at 7:45 a.m. The machine on 31. Fix it today. We have a scheduled maintenance window next, today. It was fixed by 11 a.m. Maya texted that evening, Jess, the coffee machine works. I don't know what happened, but today is already better. Nathan replied, the universe was listening. Lol, you are in a philosophical mood today. I have my moments. He fixed the lamp the following week, the vending machine the week after that. Small invisible corrections to a flaw he had apparently been walking through for months without actually seeing. He did it quietly. He told no one the reason. He just walked through 31 on his way to the elevator and started actually looking at what was there, a broken machine with a note that said apologies for inconvenience. He had 4,000 employees. He had not noticed. Maya had noticed. She had also, in 3 weeks of wrong number texts, noticed something else. Something she typed one Sunday evening from her couch that stopped Nathan in the middle of a sentence. He was speaking to a business contact on the phone. Jess, I think I've started noticing my boss as a human being. Like not in a romantic way, just in a he looked tired in the lobby on Friday kind of way, and I thought, does he have anyone? No, like a romantic anyone, just anyone who talks to him without knowing what he is worth, first, because everyone in that building looks at him like he is a verdict, and I think he is just a really tired person in an expensive suit, and nobody ever looks at the tired. Nathan excused himself from the call, Saturday down, read it again. Nobody ever looks at the tired. He sat with that sentence for a long time, longer than he would ever admit. He was sitting on his penthouse terrace with the city below him and the coffee he had made himself, because he always made it himself, and the specific silence of a life that looked from the outside like everything anyone would ever want. Nobody ever looks at the tired. He picked up his phone. You see people very clearly. I think I've just been looking at him too long and accidentally started seeing him. Is that a bad thing? I don't know. He is my boss. It is not. I am not saying anything. I am just saying I see him, which might be the most dangerous thing I could do. Why dangerous? Because once you really see someone you can't unsee them, and then everything gets complicated. Nathan stared at the city. Maybe complicated isn't always the enemy. Look at you, Jess, full of wisdom on a Sunday. I have my moments. Good night, Maya. He had typed her name. He always told himself he wouldn't. He always did anyway. She didn't notice. He told himself one more day. By the second week, Nathan Cole was doing things he genuinely did not recognize. He was arriving to the office earlier. No, for work. He had always arrived early for work. Earlier than that. Earlier in a way that had nothing to do with the agenda and everything to do with the lobby, because Maya came in through the main lobby every morning at 8:17, and she walked through it like someone who was already in the first paragraph of a thought. Earphones in. Coffee from the corner place, not the office, because she had apparently decided the corner place was worth the extra 4 minutes, moving through the lobby with the particular purposeful energy of a person who is good at their job and knows it and is quietly thrilled by that knowledge. Even at 8 a.m., he had stood in that lobby on 3 separate mornings in 2 weeks. His assistant thought he was taking calls. He was watching a woman he had spoken to formally 12 times in 7 months walk to an elevator and press the button for the 31st floor. He needed to tell her. He knew he needed to tell her. The problem was the thing he had told himself on day 1. I'll say something tomorrow, had compounded into something that now had weight and history and 3 weeks of real feeling attached to it. This was no longer a quick correction. This was a confession with consequences. And every evening he drafted it, and every evening he deleted it and replaced it with something real instead. Because the texts were extraordinary. No, because they were dramatic, the opposite. They were the most ordinary window into a person he had ever been given. He knew that she ate cereal for dinner when she was tired and made actual meals when she was happy. He knew she had a complicated relationship with a mother who loved her intensely and understood her partially. He knew she had been in a relationship with someone called Marcus that had ended 8 months ago in a way that did not make her cry immediately, but ambushed her 3 weeks later in a Target near the pasta aisle. He knew she was funnier than anyone in that office building suspected, because funny people at work always dial it back by 40% to be taken seriously, and she had a wit that could stop traffic if she ever pointed it at full power. He knew she was scared of settling. No, scared of failing. She had made peace with failure in a way that impressed him. Scared of waking up 10 years from now and finding she had taken every safe step correctly and ended up somewhere that technically made sense and felt completely hollow. He knew this because she had typed it at 11:30 on a Wednesday night when she couldn't sleep. Jess, do you ever get scared that you'll do everything right and still end up somewhere that doesn't feel like yours? Like, I am good at this job, I genuinely am, but good at something and meant for something are not the same thing, and lately I keep wondering if I've confused the two. Nathan had been in bed, which was unusual. He was never in bed at 11:30. He had read the message and put the phone on his chest and looked at the ceiling. He knew exactly what she meant. He had built 3 companies. He was extraordinarily good at building companies. Whether that was the same as being meant for, it was a question he had buried under 14 years of forward motion, and had apparently left for a 27-year-old woman on a wrong number to excavate at 11:30 on a Wednesday. I think meat for something is a thing we discover by doing, not by deciding. And sometimes the doing takes you somewhere you didn't plan, and that place turns out to be the real answer. Long pause. Jess, that is the most you've ever said in one message. Are you okay? I am great. Why? You just sound different lately. More present, like you are really listening. Nathan went very still. I've always listened. Maybe you are just saying more. Maybe. Or maybe something changed. Either way, I like it. Get some sleep. Okay, hey Jess, yeah. I don't know what I'd do without this, without being able to just say the thing. You know, Nathan held the phone over his face in the dark. He knew exactly what he was doing was wrong. He knew she deserved to know. He knew that every day he did not tell her was a day he was building something on a foundation she had not agreed to stand on. He knew all of it. He looked at it clearly with both eyes, and then he typed, "You'll never have to find out. Sleep well," because here was the honest truth. Nathan Cole was 42 floors above the rest of the city every evening, and for the first time in years he did not feel like it. Week 3, the weak things cracked at the edges. It started on a Monday when Maya walked into the building and straight into a conversation she was not supposed to hear. She was early, earlier than usual. Coffee in hand, earphones not yet in, moving through the lobby at 7:52 a.m., which was, she would realize later, exactly the wrong time to be in the lobby, or exactly the right time depending on how you felt about your entire understanding of a person being rearranged. Before 8 a.m., 2 members of Nathan's executive team were standing near the elevator bay. No, whispering but talking in the low-register way people talk when they are sharing information that has teeth. Maya would have walked right past without registering a word except that she caught her own name. She stopped. The Ellison report went straight to Nathan. He forwarded to the Henderson team personally. He never forwards from that level directly. I know. And he marked it. I saw it. He marked it as the benchmark for the quarter, her work. A 3rd-floor analyst. She doesn't know. She got 1 email. You know how he is. She probably thinks he barely noticed. That is the thing with Nathan. He notices everything. He just doesn't tell you. Maya got in the elevator, stood very still on the way up to 31. He notices everything. She thought about the font email. This is the standard. 3 words. She had turned it into a poster in her head. She had not known that behind 3 words there was a forwarded email and a benchmark designation and an executive team talking about her in the lobby before 8 a.m. He notices and doesn't tell you. She sat at her desk, did not take her coat off for 4 minutes, just sat there. Then she picked up her phone. Jess, I just found out something about my boss, and I don't know what to do with it. Nathan was upstairs, already in. Already working. He read the message and something tightened in his chest. What did you find out? That he has been paying more attention than I thought, like significantly more, and now I feel stupid for assuming he didn't notice. and also weirdly moved, which is inconvenient. Why inconvenient? Because I was fine when he was just the impossible man with font opinions. This is a different thing. Different how? A long pause. Nathan watched the three dots appear and disappear twice, like I might have had him wrong. And when you realize you've had someone wrong, you have to go back and reread everything. And what do you find when you reread it? Someone who is actually paying attention, but has no idea how to show it, which is either really sad or really interesting, and I can't figure out which. Nathan stood up from his desk, walked to the window. 14 years of building things, of deciding things, of knowing exactly what he wanted, and exactly how to get it. And he was undone by a sentence about rereading. Maybe it is both. Maybe, hey, can I ask you something weird? Ask. Do you think people can change, like, not dramatically? Just, can someone who has gotten really good at being alone unlearn it if they wanted to? Nathan pressed his forehead against the glass. The city below. The 42 floors between him and everyone. I think the want is the whole thing. I think if someone actually wants to, really wants to, not as a concept but as a daily decision, then yes, I think it is possible. Do you think he wants to? She was asking about him, she was asking him about himself, and she didn't know it, and he had never in his life wanted to answer a question more honestly and been less able to. I think he might have just needed the right reason. The longest pause of the entire 3 weeks, Jess. Yeah, I think I like him. Nathan Cole stopped breathing. Like, I know it is complicated. I know it is my boss, and that is 1,000 kinds of complicated, and I am not doing anything about it. I am not even sure it is a real feeling, or just the thing that happens when you start seeing someone as a person instead of a role. But I wanted to say it to someone, even just once, just to see if it was real when I said it out loud. Is it? Another pause. Yeah, it is. Nathan sat down on the floor. He was on the floor. The CEO of a $460 million company was sitting on the floor of his penthouse office because a woman on the 31st floor had just told him, without knowing she was telling him, that she had feelings for him. He needed to tell her today. It had to be today. He typed. Maya stared at it. His phone rang. Board call. Scheduled 6 weeks ago. The Henderson acquisition, 40 minutes of necessary, unmovable, consequential work. He answered it. He spent 40 minutes in the call, and the entire time he was in the call, he was thinking about one thing only: how to tell her the truth without destroying what they had built. Here is the thing about a lie that was never supposed to be a lie. It starts as an omission. You don't correct a wrong number because the moment is too interesting to end. Then the omission grows legs and starts walking around and furnishing itself. And by the time you are 3 weeks in and the woman who thinks she is texting her roommate has just told you she has feelings for you, for the real you, the one she has been accidentally describing back to himself this whole time, the omission has become a structure, a whole building, and you know that telling the truth now means watching that building come down. Nathan Cole did not sleep on Wednesday night. He sat on his terrace and looked at the city and thought about every version of how the conversation could go, every angle, every word. There was no version where she was not hurt. He understood that. He accepted that. He deserved it. The question was whether there was a version where she was hurt, and then, eventually given time and honesty and the weight of 3 weeks of real, something could still grow from it. He turned that question over until 3 a.m., and then he went inside and he made himself a coffee. And he sat at his kitchen table like a man preparing for an important meeting, because she deserved the truth delivered carefully. No dropped on her, no blurted carefully, with space for her to react, with enough honesty around it that she could see the whole shape of it, what it was and also what it wasn't, what he had done and also why. No to excuse it, to explain it, because she understood why people did things. He had learned that about her. She was the kind of person who looked for the reason underneath the action. He was going to tell her Thursday. Thursday morning he walked through the lobby, and she was already past the elevator. He missed her by 4 minutes. Thursday afternoon he had back-to-back meetings until 6 p.m. Thursday evening she texted, "Jess, I had the best day. Like inexplicably good. Nothing specific happened. I just felt good at my job and good in my own skin. and I came home and made actual food instead of cereal, so I think I am thriving." He could not tell her on a good day. He could not walk into that and leave it in pieces. Friday then. But Friday brought a crisis. One of their key contracts developed a legal complication that required 12 hours of intensive work, and by the time it was resolved the building was empty, and Maya had gone home, and he was too exhausted to string together the right words for the most important conversation he'd had in years. One more day became one more weekend. The weekend became Monday, and Monday became the board meeting, the meeting where he sat in his chair with his phone in his hand, reading her morning text, feeling strangely optimistic today, wish me luck, while 12 people waited for him to begin a $460 million discussion. He had replied, "You don't need luck, but you have it anyway." And then he had walked into that boardroom lighter than he had any right to be, because he knew he had decided today Monday, after the meeting, the truth, all of it. The meeting ended at 11:40 a.m. Maya did not know she was going to be in the next meeting. Her manager had added her name to the 12 p.m. conference at 9 a.m. Short notice, Mr. Cole wants the communications team represented, and she had reorganized her morning and shown up with her laptop and her coffee and her Monday morning optimism still intact. She walked into the conference room. Nathan was already there. Their eyes met for a second across the glass table. Professional, normal, the same look they had exchanged in hallways for 7 months. Maya took a seat and opened her laptop and pulled up the briefing notes and was perfectly composed. Her phone was on silent. At 12:07, 7 minutes into the meeting, it buzzed. She glanced at it under the table. A message from Jess. She read it, then read it again. The navy blazer today. By the way, good choice. The room continued around her. Someone was talking about a distribution strategy. A slide changed on the screen. Maya's eyes moved up from her phone. Across the table, Nathan Cole was in a navy blazer. He was looking at his laptop. Her phone was still in her hand under the table. She could feel her own heartbeat. She opened the conversation, started scrolling up. The message from this morning, "You don't need luck, but you have it anyway." Scrolled up further, the Sunday conversation, "I think I like him." Further, the coffee machine, the font, the bathroom floor. 3 weeks of the most honest, unguarded, completely private version of herself, staring back at her from a thread that was not going to her roommate, had never gone to her roommate, had been going here to this, to him, the blazer comment. He was looking at her. She knew he was looking at her because she could feel it in the way the air in a room changes when the specific attention of a specific person lands on you. She did not look up. She stared at the table and breathed. In the meeting someone asked a question, someone answered it. The world kept doing what the world does. She picked up her phone under the table, hands completely steady, because sometimes the body knows that if it starts shaking it will not stop. How long? Across the table Nathan's phone was in his jacket pocket. She watched, still not looking directly at him, watching through her peripheral vision. She watched his hand move. He retrieved the phone, read it, put it face down on the table. Then he picked it back up. Day one. Maya pressed her lips together. You knew from day one. Yes, and you never said anything. The pause before his reply was the longest of her life. Around them, the meeting continued in a language she could no longer pass. No, why? No, a question. The period was deliberate. She could feel it in her sternum. The words sitting there waiting. Nathan looked at his phone for a long time. She watched his jaw move slightly, that thinking movement. The one she had learned to read from 40 feet away without knowing she was learning it. Because you were talking to me like I was a person. No, a title. No, a net worth. Just a person at the end of a phone who was worth talking to. And I haven't had that in long enough that I didn't know how to let go of it. Maya looked at the table. I told you things. I know. Private things. I know. I said your suit was stupid, expensive and stupid. In fairness, you weren't wrong. Her breath came out in something that was almost a laugh, and absolutely could not be in this room. She pressed her hand over her mouth, looked at the ceiling for 1 second, looked back at the table, the coffee machine. The lights, week 2. You fixed things I complained about. They needed fixing. Nathan. She had typed his name. First time it landed in his chest like something being placed down gently after a long time of being carried. He looked at her. No. The professional look. She had spent 3 weeks accidentally learning the difference, and she knew it immediately when she saw it. No, the hallway look, no. Any look she had seen him give anyone or anything in 7 months of working in this building. This was the look of someone who had been reading her at 10 p.m. for 3 weeks, and was now sitting 6 feet away from her, and finding the distance unbearable. I was going to tell you today, after the meeting. So you were going to tell me today. I swear to you today. She looked at him across the table. 6 feet of conference table between the most unreachable man in New York City and the woman who had accidentally texted her way through every wall he had ever built. The meeting was winding down. She could hear it in the tone of the voices, the papers gathering, the laptops closing. She typed one last message. The whole time you were fixing things I mentioned, and you never said. His reply came immediately. I was listening. I know. She put her phone in her pocket. The room began clearing. People stood. Chairs moved. Someone asked Nathan a question, and he answered it, and someone else asked another one, and he answered that too. Automatic, fluent. The machine running perfectly. Maya picked up her laptop, stood, moved toward the door with everyone else. She stopped at the door, turned back. The room was almost empty. Nathan was standing at the head of the table. Still, watching her, she looked at him for a long moment. All of it in her eyes, the complicated, the hurt, the anger that was real and deserved, and underneath it, underneath all of it, the other thing. The thing she had typed on a Sunday evening and meant. She said nothing. She walked out. The floor was empty by 6. Maya was still at her desk. She had not been able to leave. She had tried at 5:30 and gotten as far as her coat, and then sat back down and stared at her screensaver, and tried to organize what was happening inside her into something with a shape. She was angry. That was real. 3 weeks of thinking she was safe, and she had not been safe. She had been read, every word of it, by the one person it was most complicated to be read by. She was embarrassed. That was real, too. The things she had said, the way she had said them, the total absence of armor. And then, underneath those 2 real things, was a third thing that was also real and considerably more inconvenient. She had spent 3 weeks being known, no performed for, no managed, known, every exhausted Tuesday evening, and philosophical Sunday night, and 11:30 insomnia thought. Someone had been on the other end of all of it, not trying to impress her or manage her or get anything from her, just there, asking follow-up questions. Listening in the specific way that makes you feel like what you are saying is worth the air it takes to say it. She could not make that mean nothing just because the person turned out to be complicated. It meant something. She knew it meant something. She had known since Sunday when she typed "I think I like him" and felt the truth of it settle in her bones. At 6:14 p.m. her phone buzzed. Are you still there? She looked up, around the empty floor, the lamp on, the city going dark outside the glass. She typed "third desk" from the window. A pause, 30 seconds, 40. Then, "Can I come down?" Maya looked at that message for a long time. She thought about everything she should reasonably consider, the power imbalance, the professional complication, the 3 weeks of a conversation she had not consented to. She thought about all of it seriously, because she was a serious person who had learned the hard way that feelings felt in a moment do not automatically mean the decision is right. And then she thought about a man at his desk at 10 p.m. fixing a broken coffee machine, because a woman he could not tell he was listening to mentioned it in passing. She typed, "The lamp on the left is broken." A pause. Then, "I'll have it fixed tomorrow. Nathan." Maya, "Just come down." He appeared in the doorway of the 31st floor 2 minutes later. No jacket, sleeves rolled. The tie loosened in the way that appeared somewhere around hour 11 of a working day. Just Nathan Cole at the end of a very long Monday, walking across a dark floor toward the third desk from the window like a man who has made a decision and is not walking it back. He stopped at her desk. She looked up at him. "You could have told me," she said. Her voice was even. She had decided to be even about this. "I know." Day one, you knew day one, and you chose not to say anything. Yes, that was wrong. Yes, it was. She nodded, looked at the desk, looked back up. Why, the coffee machine, you didn't have to do that. It was broken. You have 47 floors in this building. You don't personally respond to broken coffee machines. I do now, apparently, because I complained. Because you mentioned it mattered, and it was fixable, and I could fix it. Maya looked at him. You couldn't fix the other thing, though, the thing I actually needed fixed, which was being seen at work in a way that she stopped, restarted. I spend a lot of energy being good at something in a room full of people who are looking past me toward the next important thing. And then I go home and I say all the things I didn't say all day and I feel better. And I thought it was just Jess. I thought it was just my best friend. But she looked at her phone, then at him. You gave me the same thing. Nathan sat down in the chair next to her desk. The colleague chair. Nobody had sat in it in 7 months without it being a formal meeting. He sat in it now like it was the most natural thing. I know I did it wrong, he said. I know I should have corrected it on day one, and I didn't, and that is on me. I won't dress it up, then don't. Or, Desau, I didn't tell you because for the first time in a very long time I was just a person to someone. No, the company, no, the building, no, the suit. You talked to me like... He stopped. His jaw moved, the thinking movement she knew. Like I was worth talking to on my own, without anything else attached to it, and I was selfish enough to want to keep that for a while. For 3 weeks. For 3 weeks. Maya was quiet. Outside the city had gone fully dark. The floor was lit only by her lamp and the glow of the city through the glass. I said a lot of things, she said, finally. You did. Things I would never have said if I knew. I know. Are you going to change anything at work? I need to know that. Nathan looked at her with an expression she recognized. The one from the lobby that she had texted about. The tired one, the real kind. Nothing changes at work unless you want it to, he said. Your career here is yours. You earned it. Every word you said to me through that phone, it confirmed something about you that the work had already told me. You are exceptional at what you do. That doesn't change. That was never about this, she breathed. Okay, she said. Okay. I mean, it is not okay. There is a lot to figure out. This is very complicated. I know you are my boss. I know that too, and you read 3 weeks of my private thoughts without telling me. Yes. And somewhere in those 3 weeks you... She stopped. He looked at her. She did not finish the sentence. She didn't need to. It was there between them, fully formed, requiring no words. He did not look away from it. Yes, he said, simply the same way he said everything that was true and certain, and not up for negotiation. Yes, I did. Maya looked at him for a long time. Then she reached across her desk and picked up her phone, opened their conversation, scrolled all the way to the very first message, the bathroom floor, the font, the terrible Tuesday. She read it, looked up. Helvetica really is barely different from Ariel, she said. Nathan Cole looked at her, and then he smiled. That smile, the one nobody in this building had ever seen. The one she had found by accident on a Tuesday night by saying the wrong thing to the wrong number and accidentally being completely right. It is not, he agreed. That was unreasonable. It really was. I stand by the feedback. Of course you do. He was still smiling. She was trying not to, failing. This is still complicated, she said. It is. There are conversations we need to have, real ones about what this is and isn't. There are, and I need some time. Take it. She nodded, looked at the desk, looked back up. You fixed my coffee machine the same day. You'd been waiting 2 weeks. You didn't have to. I wanted to. She picked up her things, stood, put on her coat. He stood too, just stood, no agenda, just the natural movement of 2 people in a room. Good night, Nathan, she said. He had heard her say it before. He had been on the other end of it for 3 weeks. A small warm word dropped at the end of conversations. He had never heard her say it to his face. It sounded like a beginning. Good night, Maya. She walked to the elevator, pressed the button, waited. She did not look back, but she was smiling. He could not see it. He knew anyway. 1 week later, same floor, different lamp. The broken one had been replaced with something better. Maya was at her desk, 7:50 a.m. earlier than usual. Her phone buzzed. "Good morning. How do you take your coffee?" She stared at the message. Typed, "Why, there is someone in the lobby who would like to buy you one, from the corner place, the good one." Maya looked toward the elevator. Typed, "You are in the lobby. I am in the lobby. You get here at 7 a.m. I left and came back." She stared at that for a long moment. He had been here at 7, left, gone to the corner place, come back to the lobby at 7:50. Because she got in at 8:17 and he knew that. He had been watching her come in at 8:17 for she didn't know how long. "Oat milk, 1 sugar, medium." A pause. Then, "Already have it. Come down when you are ready." Maya put her phone in her pocket, stood up, looked around the floor. The fixed lamp, the working coffee machine, the vending machine that now accepted cards, the small invisible fingerprints of a man who had listened and never said a word and quietly made things better. She took the elevator down. He was in the lobby, navy suit today, coffee in each hand, looking at his phone with his brows slightly furrowed the way it did when he was reading something that required attention. He looked up when she came through the elevator doors. He held out the coffee. She took it. They stood there for a moment, in the lobby of Cole and Associates at 7:51 in the morning. 2 people who had talked their way to each other through a wrong number and 3 weeks of accidental honesty. "The font," she said, "was Helvetica," he said. "No, negotiable. I will take it to my grave that Arial was fine." "That is because you have bad taste in typography," she laughed, out loud in the lobby before 8 a.m. Nathan Cole watched her laugh and felt the thing in his chest that had been moving toward her for 3 weeks arrive completely at its destination. He didn't say anything about it. He didn't need to. She was already looking at him like she knew. They say the best love stories start by accident. No, with a plan or a perfect moment or the right words said in the right order. With a wrong turn, a missed step, a number scrolled past in an exhausted Tuesday moment that lands on the exact person it was never supposed to reach. Nathan Cole built 3 companies and accumulated $47 billion and sat in rooms with the most powerful people in the world and somewhere along the way got very good at being alone without ever admitting that was what he was doing. Maya Ellison sat on a bathroom floor and typed the truth about her life into a phone screen and sent it to the wrong number. And the wrong number turned out to be the most right thing that had ever happened to either of them. If this story got you, if any part of it landed somewhere real, tell us in the comments which moment got you the most. Was it the coffee machine, the navy blazer, the lobby at 7:51? We want to know. And if you are not subscribed yet, what are you doing? We have so many more stories coming. Stories built exactly like this one, from the small, ordinary moments where real love actually lives. Subscribe, hit the bell. We will see you in the next one.